Hey Scrappers, Tom from the iScrap app, and today is Wednesday, September 16th, 2020. Believe it or not, a full week has passed, come and gone, and I know that time flies because it feels just like I was here yesterday doing these reports, but we're so happy to be back with you. Don't forget, every Wednesday at 1 p.m. we like to do our live update on Facebook. Every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern time, that is. If you don't have the ability to tune in to us while we're going live, not a problem. You can always check us out on YouTube afterwards, or you can look through our feed and find the video that we post along with a link to our recent weekly blog, which gives you more information on things that we talk about during the video. Now, over the last week, we've been watching these markets extremely closely, and the good thing is there isn't a massive amount of news to talk about, so we want to dissect a couple of smaller things with aluminum, catalytic converters, and then the possibility of where the markets are going to be going for the next few weeks and months. But let's just talk about a couple of things first. Right off the bat, copper about even, steel up, aluminum up, believe it or not. Catalytic converter prices, rrcats.com is quoting you via serial code or photo, and you can go on there because we've seen rhodium, platinum, and palladium all increasing between 1% and 4% week over week, which means more money in your pocket. So let's talk about the aluminum prices, and if you have any questions during our live broadcast, not a problem, just shoot them below. If we do not get to those questions, never fear, there's always next week. If another scrapper does not answer you within the next 24 hours, we'd really be surprised because that's what a great community we have going. So aluminum over the last few weeks we've talked about a few times, but we've seen more of an increase in demand, which means we've seen more of an increase in pricing. Now, grades of aluminum such as Bare 6063, Bare 6061, or what many of you scrappers refer to as extruded aluminum, we've seen those prices increase. Now, we've done videos in the past which we'll post on here about extruded aluminum, and extruded aluminum is not a grade, it's more of a classification. Think about it, an aluminum block pushed through a mold, gets extruded on the other side. That's why you call it extruded, but that is not a grade. You always want to know if you have 6061, 5052, or any other number of metals that, different aluminum categories. If you do not know your category, ask your scrapyard to help you learn, and if they're not willing to help you, it's probably time to find a new yard, and that's where the iScrap app comes in, where you can always search to find scrapyards near you, as well as finding prices that are being done nationally to help you make more money with your scrap. So with the increased demand on the aluminum side of things, we've seen the market really jumping recently, and we're happy as of late on how things are going. We want to continue to see these prices increasing, as we've seen sheet aluminum prices increasing to 18 to 22 cents a pound nationally on average. And we've seen some other grades of 6063 creeping into the 45 to 50 cent range. Now, of course, with the aluminum prices up, with the copper prices up at the same time, we'll see the aluminum copper radiators from your heavy summer haul of air conditioning units really picking up, and these are positive problems to have with prices going up on both sides. That's going to give you the ability to make more money with your scrap. Now, on the copper side of things, copper hasn't moved week over week, and in my mind, that's a great problem as well. Not seeing movement means we saw stabilization, especially after Labor Day, especially after a heavy number of traders took the month of August off, came back in September, and we've seen those trading numbers continuing to increase and grow and stabilize at the same time. We've seen scrap yards paying more money over the scale for their Bare Bright, number one tubing, brass, and other copper-bearing materials, and these are all good things that we've liked to see happening, as we've seen the demand increase overseas, but with the continued political tensions, tariff negotiations, and ongoing feuds between countries, we're not going to be surprised to see these metal prices jumping all over the place in the coming months. Now, with 50 or 60 days left until the election, that's going to be a real big turning point, and where we see some of these metal prices going and where we see some of the oil prices going. And these are things that we're continuing to look out for. Now, with oil prices remaining relatively subdued, of course, with COVID hitting the entire world, less travel from boats to trains to automobiles, planes, motorbikes, scooters, and anything else that involves gasoline. Maybe the lawn section has picked up with more people doing yard work, but that's not going to consume nearly as much gas or oil as you would need. So with these prices being low and the outlook for the next 6 months being low as well, we're not going to be surprised to see not too much movement in the gas or oil side of things, which means some of your steel prices won't really have a big jump, although it will depend on what some of the tariffs are how they're affecting things, because as the tariffs get implemented, if the export market for steel is a little dry or they're not shipping a lot of things out, you might see a steel increase, as we have in parts of the East Coast, $15 to $20 per ton in certain areas. But this could also be due to larger processors needing a massive amount of material in to fulfill orders. Sometimes they're willing to make no money on 20% of their order just to be able to fill it in a timely fashion, which could be what's going on with a potential decrease coming in October. We hope that, of course, that does not happen, as many of you work so hard to get that steel, iron, and other ferrous items to your yards. We want to make sure that you're making as much money as you can, and we feed you as much information as we can. This week, our social spotlight was on iScrapper Tyler, who started his own scrapping business over the last year or so and shared some information and inspirational words with us, which we spotlighted this week. It's great to see people growing their businesses, putting the time in, the hard work and the effort, and then letting others know that they can do it and others could do it at the same time, and it's very uplifting. When we did our blog this morning, the post already had over 230 likes, and that's such a fantastic thing because people are reading it, being motivated by it, and it shows you that the American dream is still alive and kicking, as long as you don't mind putting in 80 or 90 hours a week of work. Now, on the gold side of things, we've seen the gold prices stay in the $1,935 range per ounce recently. Not much movement as the big stimulus packages were pushed out there. It does not look like there's going to be another stimulus coming in at least in the next few weeks. So with the massive trillions and trillions of dollars that were just appeared and printed out of nowhere, that was one of the reasons that we saw the gold prices inflating over $2,000 an ounce. We've seen a bit of a pullback, which seems to be where we're going to be moving forward, as well as a pullback in the silver pricing. On the catalytic converter side of things, we mentioned that we've seen the prices increase week over week, and we'd like to talk about that right now. Oops, just threw my papers. I couldn't do that again if I tried. Sorry. So here we are, week over week. Let's talk about some of the prices on platinum. 1 week ago, we saw prices right around $900 an ounce. Today, $955, about a 6% gain. Palladium a week ago around $22.40, $22.20. Today, $23.70, so that's about a 3.5% gain. Rhodium was at $12,800 an ounce. Today, it's at $13,800, which is about a 1.5 to 2% gain as well. 3% gain as well. So those are really nice numbers ticking up. Why they jumped up over the last week, we couldn't find any articles that talked about it, as there was not an increased market demand. Sometimes traders trade these numbers differently. Sometimes consumers of the raw materials are having a little bit of a hard time mining them or getting recycled materials. That's when prices increase. Sometimes to pull material off the shelves of larger processors and warehouses to be able to make a couple of extra bucks, to be able to get that material to the consumers, whether it's in the form of catalytic converters, electronics, or any other type of thing that's going to involve those three precious metals. The team over at rrcats.com is always ready to quote your cats, so make sure you go on there, check it out, text or email your catalytic converter serial code or overhead picture today. If you have questions, of course at iScrap we've been producing videos and blogs and content over the last few years to teach you more, not only about catalytic converters, but about steel, copper, brass, insulated wire, CBM, electric motors, light iron, heavy iron, rotors, electronic scrap, carbide, and a variety of other metals. And if there is not a video on our YouTube page, never fear, just let us know and we'll make sure to get that on there as quickly as we can. Scrappers, this is Tom from the iScrap app. Today is September 16th, 2020. If you have not downloaded the iScrap app to your iPhone or your Android today, please make sure to do so, where we push out market updates in the form of notifications throughout the week. You might get up, down, or sideways arrows, but it gives you more information on what's going on with the scrap market from a place that we hope that you can trust, as we come from a scrapping background since 1977. Scrappers, we look forward to talking to you next week. Scrap often, scrap well, and until then, I'll scrap you later.